Alright guys, it's JT out here with another video. I wanted to go a little bit on topic on what I've been catching my fish on here recently. I've been going to Savannah a lot here lately, but Scottsboro here and there. And when I go to Scottsboro, I catch them in like Stargrass or around docks or more shallow stuff. But I wanted to go a little bit on topic on what I've been catching my fish on here recently at Savannah. And I got another rod in the house that I've been kind of using to try to see if I like the feeling of it. I would do like the feeling of it, but I tend to throw that lure that I'm throwing that other rod on more on this rod and more on this reel specifically. I got a new one I just put on this rod not too long ago, but I will show you the rod that I did have on it before I got this new one on there. I'm by a road, so y'all probably hear car noise. But I'm using a Daiwa Erd X rod, medium light, fast. You're probably thinking, oh, you shouldn't flip with that. Oh, you shouldn't be around trees with that. Anglers probably say that almost 100% of the time. I really don't see a difference in it. I haven't broke this rod yet, and I've had this rod maybe, I'd say about another 3 more months. I've had it a year. And so far, I've had no issues out of it. I can put 15-pound line on a baitcaster reel and have this rod on there with that reel and not have any issues out of it. You're probably like, you're insane. No, I'm not insane. I just know it works. It's ultra sensitive. Ultra sensitive. But what I have on this rod, I also throw this weightless. But let's see here. Let me get a hold of it. Okay. It is a 2-watt worm hook, Eagle Claw. And it's they're partnered with Scott Martin on this hook. And I got a 1/8 ounce Eagle Claw bullet leg on there. And I got it pegged. Bobber stop. Now this is a green pumpkin trick worm. You can go to your any local stores and get these. Watermelon seed works good. Also, I tend to throw the more finesse trick worms when it's more tough and more clear water. And I will throw a sungill color or I will throw a watermelon color. And the reason I throw a sungill and a watermelon color, excuse me, when the water's more clear, is because watermelon and sungill shows up real good to the fish in clean water. And they seem to like that color more because it tends more to bluegill. And if you're in a lake that doesn't have shad, that's a good rule of thumb there. Now, if you have a bunch of shad, I'm sure you could go to more like your smoky shad colors, stuff like that. I've had luck doing that when I'm in more of a shad lake, but at Savannah, there ain't no shad. There's more crappie and bluegill more than anything, and there's carp. The bass tend to feed on them little hatchling carps and baby crappie and baby bluegill. Also, the bigger bass, they like to eat bigger bluegill. And that's why I'm going to talk about this other bait next and what rod I throw it on. Now, this is a rod I've kept in my hand in the Big Bass Splash when we had it down at Lake Guntersville at Goosemont Colony. I was throwing it around the Moringa docks. And I was also throwing it around the Stargrass and around Coontail. The Coontail was about probably a foot or two off bottom. I was fishing anywhere from 7 to 12 foot. Letting this just sink a foot or two off the bottom. And this has really done me in on catching me a good fish that almost catch me a check in this tournament. Now, therefore, there was already a bunch of people on the hot seat, so therefore I didn't get a check. But I got close to almost beating someone to be in the last hot seat to get a check. I was just probably 2 ounces out from being in a hot seat. My fish was 3 pounds and 14 ounces, I think. I don't want to lie, so I'm not sure to be exact, but I think that's how much it weighed. But this right here, I am going to have to fix the harness that's on it that holds the hook in place. That's the only issue I've had out of this bait. Now, this is a Berkley Nessie. It is a soft swim bait. As you see on the bottom, it's got plastic clear stabilizers. And it's got a harness that this hook sits in right here. It's got an insert you can put the hook in. And it's also got that little thing right there to hold the hook in as well. Now the only thing I've had out of it is this little metal piece right here. And that little metal piece holds the hook in place, that way it don't come out of this hook slot in the center of this bait. Now, what I tend to throw this on, line really doesn't matter to me what company I use or anything. This, I got 20-pound Omniflex on. Just cheap Walmart line, $2 line. And this line has held up for me. I can have this line on there a year, and it did me good. Now, don't get me wrong, it don't last 2 or 3 years like these other lines does, but it is a good line. Now, what I throw this on, it's a Walmart brand rod. You're probably thinking, oh, Walmart brand rods ain't worth the crap. You don't need to use them, stuff like that. They are. They're really, really, really good in my opinion. The blue and white rods that also Walmart makes are real good too. But their Ozark Trail rods is what I've been using here recently, and they're really good. Now, this is a Ozark Trail OTX bait cast rod. Ozark Trail, right there. That way y'all know I'm not lying to you. This is a medium. It's more like a medium heavy. It is 6 foot 8 inches. Line can hold 6 to 12 pound line, but I throw 20 on it, and it does well. It does really, really well. Don't let anybody doubt you on what you want to throw. Yeah, I go a little bit more to the cheaper side, but I'm not like all these pros and have all this money to where I can get stuff like they can. I'm just a person out here trying to have fun, just like the pros. I'm not a pro. Don't get me wrong by any means. My pawpaw has got me into fishing ever since I was old enough to hold a rod in my hand, and I've always wanted to be a pro. Now, therefore, I am a pro, but I'm hoping one day I can go big. I'm wanting to get in the Major League Fishing League. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about today on what I've been catching my fish on here recently. And here at Sylvania, they're pretty pressured. They're pretty pressured. But I'm telling you, I'm at home right now, so I'm just making a video. But at Sylvania, Sylvania Lake, the bass don't see more or less of the bigger baits like this, and more of like the realistic style lures, like glide baits, swim baits, like your bull shads, your Nessies, your other stuffs like that. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about, oh yeah, and this is also the reel I had on that medium rod before I got this other reel yesterday. It's a Pflueger bait cast reel, and it is, let's see if the gear ratio is on it. I forget the gear ratio. Gear ratio is 6:1 to 1. It's pretty fast. Not too fast, but pretty fast. On that other one, that 13 fishing baitcaster that I just got, it's a 8:1 to 1. So, I don't know if that's going to help me reeling in the fish or not, or do anything of that nature. But I've tend to more stay to my 6:1s and more up to my 8:1 to 1s. That's more the gear ratio I like. And most people is like, oh, you have to go to a slower gear ratio reel, and you need to slow down when you're throwing a worm, a jig, stuff like that. It don't matter if you got an 8:1 to 1 reel, a 9:1 to 1 reel, or a 10:0 to 1 reel. It don't matter. If that fish wants that bait dragging along the bottom, he's going to eat it. That's just how it is. You bang it up against brush or anything that he's sitting on, he is going to eat it, no matter how fast that is. Now, in the wintertime, I may stay to my 6:1 to 1s just to kind of slow down, because the water temp's more colder. But I only slow down that slow if I'm more in like the 30 to 40 degree water. where the ice is just thrown out. Now, I'll stay more to my 6 1-to-1s, more to my 8 1-to-1s when it's more warmer. But my 6 1-to-1s I have to reel a whole lot faster because it's a little bit slower. Now, what I'll do with this Nessie over at Sylvania is all the grass clumps that's growing up is I will throw it around there, and I will also see the fish because the water is kind of stained right now, but you can see if you have really good polarized sunglasses. But I'll throw that a bunch, and I'll catch them on that sometimes. But I tend to catch more on that trick worm more than anything right now. And more to this other setup I've been throwing. I did have braid on these reels because I was fishing a lot of grass where I was in Goose Pond Colony, but I tend to more got out of that. This other reeling rod is more of like when the grass gets a little bit more thick and you have those clumps. I throw this around the clumps, and I also punch through the clumps with this size weight and this bait. Now, there's a lot of other baits I throw this on, and I will show you that. But you got to be very particular on what baits you throw in the thick grass to punch through with. Okay, this reel I got from Temu, and it's a really good reel. I don't know the name of it. It's some, I think, Chinese or Japan name, but it's an M3 bait caster. That's all I know. It is a 18.1 ball bearing, reel. And it is, let's see if it's got the gear ratio on it. The gear ratio has worn off, so I don't know what gear ratio this is, but this is the RB Garcia Vengeance rod. And I got a 3/16 ounce bullet weight lead. I don't see why most people go to tungsten. I don't think it really matters. But I got it pegged with a bobber stop. Ultra-Vive Speed Crawl, Green Pumpkin. 3/0 hook. The baby Ultra-Vive Speed Crawl. 3/0 hook is what I throw. You're probably like, oh, that ain't big enough. Look, all the way to the end of the bait, but it does not matter. It will not make that bait not work. It will work. Them tails will still kick. It don't matter. This is a RB Garcia, medium heavy, 7 foot. And that is what I throw my more punching, more or less flipping close to thicker mats. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, you can't punch through grass with that small of a weight. You can. Find the holes in the thickest part of the grass, because you'll have holes around the thicker part of the grass. They'll be in it. I mean, they just will. Because the water temp is getting right for them to spawn. There's some spawning, there's some post-spawn. But here lately, I tend to go more towards the spawn fish, because they're more up shallow right now, and I tend to more bank fish than anything right now. So that's what I tend to do for that. Now, this is the rod I have my frog on with the braid at Scottsboro. But I tend to use this more at Sylvania. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have a bait on here that I want to throw right now, but this is just something I put on there last night to tie on to have hooked to my rod. But this is a Shimano Kagus, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a bait cast reel. It is a 150 HG Shimano Kagus, I guess that's how you say it. It's a 7:1 to gear ratio. And this is a Lew's Xfinity Speed Stick. It is a 7 foot power medium heavy action fast. It holds 10 to 20 pound line. Right now, I got 12 pound line on this. 12 pound line. I'll run my 2 main lines that I run when I'm fishing and I just want to all around the line that's not a leader. I'll run 12 pound Trilene Big Game, and I'll also run 12 pound Omniflex and 20 pound Omniflex. Now, when I know I'm in a tournament, I'll go more to my P lines, and more to my Seeger's cigar. Excuse me. I don't know how some people pronounce it. I do Seeger or cigar. Now, I mean, it really don't matter to me. But I'll use that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit more about like what I throw my Carolina rigs on and stuff like that. I ain't got my Carolina rod out here because I'm having to fix the tip on it. It's having to be repaired. And I fix my rods myself. They have held up for me with me fixing them. I will also show you this RB Garcia that I fixed up. Some people's like, oh, that ain't gonna work. It don't hold up. You can get you a rod tip kit from Walmart. Get you some red thread to tie like hair jigs with. I got some when I was down at Bass Pro, when I was down at Gatlinburg not too long ago. Probably about 6 months ago, I'd say. And I put some red thread, got the rod tip glue that came in the rod tip repair kit, and used it. And it works. Most people are like, oh, that'll break, that'll break, that'll break. I'm putting pressure on the end of that rod, and it is not breaking. So, that's what I do. I mean, really, in my opinion, that's the redneck way to do it, and that's the way I do it. But most people, most pros are probably like, oh, I can get that repaired for a guy that knows how to do rod tip repairs real good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a professional rod tip repair person or a rod eyelet fixer. I just do what I know will work and what will get me by and what will hold up. Now, as far as the Carolina baits I'm gonna talk about right here, there's a bunch of them, so y'all have to bear with me. I throw a Zoom Lizard, and this is in Moss Pumpkin. This is the 5-inch. This is the 5-inch. I'll throw this on the Carolina rig. This is the Super Salt Plus Brush Hog and Ram Jam. It's a regular size brush hog. I'll get one of these out that way y'all can see it. It's kind of dark, so I have to get it out of the pack for y'all to see it. But this thing Ram Jam. Now that color is the bomb when the water's more stained. When you can't see in the water a foot or two, that is your best bet. That is the bomb to throw. Now, here is the ultraviolet speed crawl that I had on that little punching rig. It's a Super Salt Plus Micro UV speed crawl in Green Pumpkin. I got these at Dunham's. Almost all this stuff I have in here is got from Dunham's, except for some of it. Not all of it, but a majority of it comes from Dunham's. And Dunham's is right down here in Fort Payne. I live between Fort Payne and Rainsville, Alabama. So I can go right down there to my local Dunham's and pick up a bunch of stuff. Now, if they're more like they don't want to eat, or I mean, if they're more aggressive and want to eat, I'll tend to throw my more aggressive baits than my micros. Like that micro UV speed crawl, I'll throw it more right now. Now, when that water temperature warms up in the mid 70s to lower 80s, I will throw more of this. This is the Super Salt Plus Super Speed Crawl in Green Pumpkin Purple. The reason I do Green Pumpkin Purple instead of Green Pumpkin is because when it gets more towards the summertime, your bluegill will have that kind of purplish tint to it, because they'll get around that grass and stuff, and they'll be more in them shadows, and they'll stay in them shadows. And plus, you also have the males that will be darker and getting their kind of like darker tone for the females. Now, and I got these that I've also been throwing here lately. And I did not get these from Dunham's. I got these from GTO at Waterfront at Goose Pond. This is the Yum Dinger. And this is the 5-inch. It's called Cajun Neon. It's by Yum. see here. Now, I don't have the package on me. I threw it away, but I have them in this clamshell. This is a NetBaits crawl they just came out with. I think it's by Hextech. But it's in green pumpkin. This has got that NetBait scent in it. It's infused with it. It's got, I think it's got 10 times more in it is what the package said. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But they really smell good to me, and as a fisherman, in my opinion. It's got more of like a garlicky smell to it. It smells real good to me. I like garlic anyway, so. This hook right here and this other hook I use is more of what I'll use. The other one I was using is more of a straight shank worm hook. This is a round bend worm hook. I switch from them two more than anything. I'll use a 3/0 jungle hook by Owner, and I'll use a 3/0 hook by 6 Cents, the stout wide gap. I'll use those two, but I stick more to my 2/0 round bend and my straight shank worm hooks by 2/0. Scott Martin. He makes a good collide with Eagle Claw. Eagle Claw hooks. I've had no issues out of them. Now let's see here. I've also thrown more of the Crush City Mare here lately, but I've threw the newer inch that they came out with, the 5-inch. But this is a new color I've yet to try that I think will absolutely crush them. It's black gold. I think it will crush them. I'll let y'all know next video I make. Now, this is a new bait that I've been waiting on to come out for the past couple of years. Now, although I use more of my Negrig jig heads that have a longer shank hook on them. That way I can bury the hook point. That way I can fish this weedless. That is your friend when it comes to Sylvania. Weedless, because you got a bunch of brush and a bunch of grass. Now, this is the Salted Negro by Crush City. Slays them. I'm talking about slays them. And this is in green pumpkin goby. And I'll get one out and I'll show y'all what it looks like. Now I got 3 of these left. It's made out of the elastic material, or what they call Super TPE. I like that tail right there. See that tail? See, even me just holding it there, it wants to jiggle. It's got a flat tail on it. It's got ribs on it too. But yeah, this bait right here has got me through thick and thin when it's tough. Because sometimes you can walk along the bank with your pro sunglasses to see those fish just roaming up and down the bank. You cast in front of that fish and bring it to him, he'll almost see it every time. Now this, I will use when the water is clear. And I've seen big ones swim around. This is the Gary Yamamoto 5-inch Watermelon Red Magic Senko. It's got some gold flake, red flake, and green flake. And you can more or less see through it. It's like a watermelon see-through color. Let's see here. And these are 2 more baits I want to talk about when you're more like on Guntersville. I tend to more go towards the Scottsboro Goose Pond area, but it's still like Guntersville. I'll throw the Chatterbait Minimax BFS Micro Bladed Jig. I got these at Dunham's. And if I'm wanting to shake a minnow, and I know they're eating on thread fins, because those thread fins have more of like that see-through color. And if they're eating on more of like those clear see-through minnows too, I'll throw the Strobe Minnow 4-inch by 6 Cents. And this is in Ghost Pro Shiner. It's like a see-through shad color. And I'll throw it on a 3/16 to a 1/8 ounce jig head. And I'll tie a loop knot to it. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? What more do I want? Okay, more on the flipping side baits with that kind of a more or less thin, more clumpy punch rig. Like I said. These are two more baits that's really worked for me on the flip side of baits. The Missile Baits V-Bomb and Green Pumpkin. Got those at Dunham's. Missile Baits V-Bomb. And the Creature Hog and Green Pumpkin. Now let's see what else in here. Okay. Oh yeah, I saved the best for last, y'all. This is called the Cura Black and Blue Flake. Now, if y'all want a secret, and I mean a secret, go to Goose Pond Colony, go in the campground, find you some stargrass, you'll catch them on this. I think it's, I forget what it was, it's like I was throwing this on. It was a core tackle. It was like the Texas rig hook they have that you ain't got to have a weight or anything on it. I forget what it's called. It may be called the core tackle tush hook. I'm not sure. It's, I ain't got one on me. But I use it for it. And then I'll also use a 3/16 to a 1 ounce weight depending on how thick the grass is. Now, that's it, but I will take one out of the pack and show you. This is made by Berkley Max Scent. Really stinks. But it's real slim. It's got 2 kickers on it. Perfect punching bait. Perfect. Now, you throw this around your stargrass, your hyacinth, hydrilla, eelgrass mats, stuff like that. You'll get hit. Let's see if I got the heads in here, and I'll talk a little bit about my scoping setup that I use. Okay, this I'll use more in the wintertime. I'll use a Arc Farmer's Spunk Shed with a little ball head jig. 1/24 ounce head is what I'll use for it. And it's the best thing you can use. Now, that's it for this video. I'll see you in another one. JT out.